One of the important features within Adam is the ability to have promotion decisions automatically calculated. This isn't a simple procedure, and so in this video I hope to explain how the decisions work and how you can edit and add your own. I'm looking at the academic records of a particular pupil, and we see here some of the promotion decisions that have been made. Term 2 was a bachelor degree pass, and Term 1 we see was a diploma pass. So what I'm going to do is have a look at the detailed academic history for Term 1 to see why that particular term was a bachelor degree pass. And we see that the decision for the bachelor degree failed because he didn't get 6 subjects at 30%, which is one of the requirements for a bachelor degree pass. This particular pupil got 5 subjects over 30 but required 6. So it's the visual arts in this particular case that has prevented the pupil from getting a bachelor degree pass. Here's an example of a promotion requirement that a school might use. 3 subjects at 40% and 2 subjects at 30%. Now, one of the crucial things to bear in mind here is that we're actually talking about 5 different subjects. If we were talking about 3 subjects at 40%, we would very happily say, well, the first 3 subjects meet that criteria. If we were then to say we need 2 subjects at 30%, we could say, well, these first 2 subjects also meet that criteria. And so we've only ended up looking at 3 subjects for this. For Adam to calculate this, we need to change this slightly. We know that 3 subjects at 40% will certainly supersede 2 subjects at 30%. And so what we need to say is actually there need to be 5 subjects at 30%, 3 at 40%, an additional 2 to make up this line. So there are my 3 at 40%. But now to calculate 5 at 30%, I've got to find 2 more subjects which I can add to, because all of those 5 now need to be above 30. And that's one of the interesting points here, is that we have to remember to include these criteria which might supersede others. Again, Adam doesn't remember which subjects are used at which level, and there are reasons for that. Some of the criteria specifically require that. Let's move on to see how we apply these rules in our criteria. If I come to the Administration tab and then go to under the Academic Administration, there is an option to edit the promotion requirements. We see a list of the promotions. These can be edited or disabled. If for some reason you no longer need a promotion requirement, you can disable it. And we can change the order using the up or down options. The order is crucial. Adam will go through these one by one and find the first one that matches. So you need to have your best option first in the list. If they don't make the best option, perhaps they've made the second best option. In this list I've also got grade 10 to 12 and then 8 and 9 below that. The fact that the 10 to 12 are above the 8 and 9 really doesn't matter in this particular instance, and these will only apply to grade 10, so the first time a grade 8 could be promoted is down here in the list, or a grade 9 for that matter is further on in the list. There is no way that a grade 10 could be condoned, for example, because this requirement only applies to grade 9 pupils. So let's have a look at the bachelor degree requirement. The description at the top is purely for our own reference. The priority, this correlates to the order in the list. We want to evaluate this first. And we then say, well, which grades does it apply to? If a pupil's in grade 9, it won't even look at this particular promotion requirement. The result, this is what is shown on reports, and it's what we saw in the list of results earlier on in past reports, so that needs to be clear and concise as you can. Then below here we have the criteria for our requirements and some subject codes below that. I'll explain how those fit in. I'm just going to expand this box a little to get all of these on one line. It makes it a little bit easier to see what we're doing. I'm going to look not at the basic NSC requirements, but because we've been talking about them, the bachelor degree pass requirements. Each line starts off with a description, a number of subjects, the minimum mark that's required for that number of subjects, and then the list of subjects. So each of those is also separated by a colon, and that helps Adam to work out that this line, for example, is a criteria, but that this bachelor's degree pass requirements is not, because it doesn't conform to this particular structure. So the blank line, the comments and so on are all ignored. The first thing we have to do is make sure that English is at 40%. Now this comment is completely arbitrary and bears absolutely no has absolutely no bearing on how the criteria is applied. It's merely for us to see which particular requirement a pupil missed in their promotion. We saw just now that the pupil that we were looking at did not have 6 subjects at 30%, and that was simply the comment that we added in at that point. Now, I'm going to start off with 6 subjects at 30%. That's our comment. We then say 6 subjects with a minimum of 30, and we then list all of the subjects that we need to look at. So there are obviously more than 6 subjects in that particular list. If we have a look, 34 is Afrikaans, 80 is Zulu, 4 is mathematics, 37 is mathematical literacy. Now obviously in those subjects alone, pupils will be taking only one of Afrikaans and Zulu and only one of maths and maths literacy. And in fact there are many more subjects there where they will only be taking 3 of the elective subjects, for example, whereas all of them are listed. So within that list of subjects, the pupil must find at least 6, or Adam must find at least 6 subjects offered by that pupil which are at a minimum of 30%. And you'll remember that our particular pupil that we were looking at missed it with visual arts, which is subject 74 in this particular list, and subject 74 is included in that particular requirement. So 6 subjects at 30 must be met. We also need 4 designated subjects at 50. So 4 subjects at 50 are my 2 criteria there, and then I list all the designated subjects. Now, designated subjects, as you may or may not be aware, do not include things like computer applications technology, subject 36, which is not in this list, or equine studies, which happens to be 79, not included in that list. As long as a pupil gets any 4 of those subjects at 50%, they will pass that requirement, and Adam then moves on to the next one. Now, of course, we spoke about this just now when I showed you the spreadsheet, and I hope I didn't confuse you then, but a number of these subjects that we're looking at for the 50% are already included in the subjects that we're looking at for 30%. Now, obviously, if a subject is above 50, it's going to be above 30. So instead of saying 4 subjects at 50 and 2 subjects, an additional 2 subjects, we must say 6. We have to include the 4 that we've got and add 2 more to our list. I hope that doesn't confuse you. If it does, please get hold of us. We'll be more than happy to assist you in developing and putting down these rules for your promotion requirements. Those are the specific requirements for bachelor degree pass, but above them, and I realize I'm going backwards here, but above them are some of the basics. A pupil must offer a home language. Now, at this particular point, I don't care what mark they're getting, so we set a minimum of 0. One subject must be at least 0 and must come from that list of one subject, which happens to be English. And English at this particular school happens to be the only home language on offer. I do know that some schools offer more than one home language, and so they could, for example, add an Afrikaans home language as well as one of the possibilities, or Zulu, or whichever the case it might be. The next requirement is that there must be a first additional language. So we need 1 subject. Again, we don't care about the mark, so we say a minimum of 0, and we then list our other subjects. Mathematical subjects, either maths or maths literacy, 4 or 37 in this particular case are the codes for maths and maths literacy. must offer life orientation. 41 here happens to be the code for life orientation. And then there must be 3 elective subjects. Once we've added a promotion result, it is quite useful to test it and to make sure that it works as we expect. So we go to the reporting tab, and under our promotion results here, there is an option to recalculate aggregate and promotions. And if I click on that, it'll ask me which term I want to recalculate for. So I'm going to choose term 2, which grade I want to recalculate. We were busy with a grade 12 pupil earlier, so I'm going to click on next. It shows me all the pupils in that particular grade that I can choose to only recalculate for 1 or 2 if I want, but in that case I did it for all. All of the pupils would have been ticked by default. I can then view the promotion decisions or recalculate another grade for term 2, or in fact another term's results for another grade. But in this case I'm going to have a look at the promotion decisions. I could click on this link here, but I just want to point out that this is also available from the main menu as well. If I choose term 2 and grade 12, here I have a look and see all of the promotion results that were there. But I can look at this stage at the academic record, and that takes me straight back to where we first started this particular discussion. If I click on the back button in my browser, the other thing that I can do is override. So if, for example, by pure calculation a pupil has failed, but for whatever reason they've been condoned or promoted, or there are circumstances that Adam can't take into account that you might want to, you can override that decision, and you can type in a promotion decision there of your own making. If you want to, once you've set a manual decision, I'm simply going to say promoted here, you'll see that it's indicated in the list as manual. Any subsequent recalculation that I do will not change that manually overridden result. And in order to get that to be a recalculated result, if we go to override here, there is an option to say reset it to the calculated result, which I'm going to say yes. It calculates that, and we're back to the bachelor degree pass there, and so it does it. So this list here allows you to go through and examine and make sure that there are no errors. Obviously these results can be displayed on reports, and so you have the option here of going through to check that and make sure. If you have any questions regarding this particular feature in Adam, particularly, and I know it is confusing, particularly the establishing of your criteria, please get in touch. Email us at about@adam.co.za, and we will be more than happy to help you set up your promotion criteria.